Hello, hello. It's cold open. Charlie is will join us momentarily. I'm just gonna do some art, and we might play, or I might play a game. Charlie has a injury at the moment, and he's healing from it. So he's playing Pokemon. Shield, sword. Pretty sure it's sword. I've got DJ Shadow playing. Just 1 second, I'm just checking the volumes on everything. Logitech. Headset, yes. Where's the Lux here? Oh. Okay. Alright, I think the sound's okay. Try not to have the music too loud.
Hey,
Yo, welcome back.
sorry, it took me a little bit.
No, you're good. I was just being a dorky dork. The usual.
Silly.
Trying to figure out what the heck I was doing. I always start so many different drawings and then start inking different ones and then going, not finishing them, but going back to them. So, but I always try to finish them, not leave them into work in progress for too long.
Yeah,
I like to finish stuff.
that's good. Did you shut your stream?
Yeah. Welcome.
Cool. Welcome all.
Mr. Charlie. The coolest Goldie.
Mm-hmm. Goldie that smooches you all over.
Oh, I smooch your back. Big ass otter kisses.
But I was thinking if you wanted to put on that YMS. Oh, I don't know if you can put on other people's videos on a stream. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's cool to do, right? You commented over
it'll
it.
be fine. It's everything's muted on recording.
Oh,
So nothing's actually like it can be heard live, but it's not, the recording won't be the music, the audio will be muted. It's just this thing you have to click. So that's why I can like play music, right? Copyright. That's why I've been playing copyrighted music lately and stuff, because I figured out that finally.
Oh, that's cool, baby.
But yeah, let me find. Oh, let me set up the window real quick. And I'll stop my chemical romance. Did you ever listen to Black Parade?
Oh yeah, yeah. I
Oh,
really like that album growing up. It's so cool.
Oh. Alright. Okay, I found the fucking thingy.
Oh, what was that?
I was trying to find the window on my OBS to set up the YMS video to have it play on stream too.
Oh, gotcha.
It's just taking me a second.
Oh, that's all good.
What you doing in Sword? I mentioned you were playing Sword.
Oh, I just got the dark type gym badge. I think it says I'm only one gym badge away from having to face the last ultimate trainer,
Oh shit, nice.
champion trainer. But right now, just look at the eShop right now. Something called Blasphemous. I think I heard of that one.
Oh shit.
Wow, dude, new YMS merch? Suspicious. Get yours at...
I just watched like the first 3 seconds and his YMS merch is already funny.
Oh yeah.
Suspicious.
Hmm.
YMSmerch.com.
Alright, I got it playing now.
So I just saw the new Jerry
Oh,
Seinfeld
cool.
movie
Let me
Unfrosted,
see.
and it was a painfully unfunny, cringe.
Yeah, just let me know if the audio sounds
of
okay.
shit. And Jerry did not just star in this film, no, he also wrote and directed it. It's his project, and meanwhile he...
Oh, do you have to share your screen or something, or?
Oh, I thought you
can't
might.
do anything funny anymore. Like my Pop-Tarts movie, it would have had so many edgy jokes, but I just couldn't do it. It's not funny. I, for one, welcome the fact...
Oh, like be on the Twitch,
Let me
right?
see if I can.
I'll go check it.
Let me see if I can. Because I don't know if it's gonna like mess up anything. Oops. Let me see if I can though.
Oh, I see it in the. I'm on the Twitch stream now. I see it in the corner.
Are you okay watching it like that, or?
Yeah, I
Okay.
just have to deal with the delay in our voices and that.
Okay. And let me know if it's too loud or if you can't hear me.
Okay.
that so many people are now realizing that Larry David is what made Seinfeld funny in the first place. Curb Your Enthusiasm had its final season this year, and it was still edgy, and it was still very funny. It's a good thing we made B-Movie in 2007, back when you could be funny. That's why that movie's so funny. I'm dating a baby. Thank you, Jerry Seinfeld, for being one of the last bastions of anti-woke, super funny, haha, great comedy. It's just such great writing. You're such a great writer. You're such a funny comedian.
And you do it better than anybody.
Uh-oh, thanks.
I mean, I always said that about you, like the act that
God.
every single person can love, and the most intelligent person in the room is also not insulted by it.
Right. I think you might find that in Unfrosted, the Pop-Tart movie. It's a silly idea for a movie, and the jokes are silly, but as we know, there are no silly jokes. They're either good or they're not.
They would suck each other's
You'll
dick.
find there's a level of sophistication.
Yeah, exactly.
Could it be that, I don't know, you're
You
just
are
not
pretty
funny.
funny?
You think that might be the issue? Let's look at exactly what type of caliber the jokes are in this film.
Kellogg's Sugar Frosted Flakes. They're so right.
Haha, that joke is funny
Jesus.
because we as audience members already know the slogan of Frosted Flakes, and so we know that the one he's saying there is not what eventually becomes the slogan. It's funny that
So
he said the
lame.
wrong one. That is a joke.
That is my ultimate. When I first
Oh, you
saw
can hear
Monty
your voice
Python when I
okay
was a
on the
kid
stream?
on PBS, the sophisticated
Yeah.
silliness
Okay,
that
just
they
making sure
were
the
doing
audio isn't too loud from the.
absolutely lit me
video.
up like this is everything that I want. Double the sugar, triple the gluten, and spell fruit F-R-O-O-T. There's no fruit.
You can turn my voice down maybe a little
Play the
bit. I
funny
sound a
music
little.
so that we know the scene's supposed to be funny. It's funny music so that
Or I
we
could just talk.
laugh.
I could
See,
I could
you're
talk.
funny. The music says so.
Let me see if I can
Haha,
lower
this
Discord.
one's funny because we already know
Okay.
that Kellogg's spells it F-R-O-O-T.
I have the
and so
mixer
we can
open.
see before they spelled it that way. He's showing. He's like, you should do it that way, and
I lowered it
you
to
should be
like
like, oh
60.
wow, dude, the Fruit Loops. Wow, dude. Wow, dude. Snap, crackle,
Okay,
and pop.
how do you
from
sound now?
Rice Krispies. Wow, dude, the Quaker
Let me see a few
guy.
words and let me hear
Remember
myself.
Weelo? It's a toy in this time period, I think. Wow, Weelo.
It's got a certain tang.
Okay, I sound pretty
The
good.
joke here is that we know that the product
Okay,
is
sweet.
eventually called Tang. We see
It was at
him
100 at first,
name
but
it
I lowered
because
it a
he
bit.
says it's got a certain tang.
Oh.
She says that's a good name. Wow, dude, Tang, Tang.
There's a level of sophistication in the silliness.
Wow, dude, Chef Boyardee. It's Chef Boyardee. Wow, dude, sea monkeys. Remember sea monkeys? Sea monkeys. They're pitching ideas. And the ideas
Holy
are bad.
shit.
That's funny because ideas are supposed to be good. And the humor is that they're bad ideas. And everybody goes, that's a bad idea. Why are you making the bad ideas?
There's a level of sophistication in the silliness.
Oh, another scene of bad pitches. It's funnier the second time, and they're all bad ideas. And the joke is that they're not good ideas, and Jerry Seinfeld's character is going, "What? That's not a good idea." And they're all like, "No, it's a good idea, I swear." That's the joke, that they're pitching ideas that aren't good, and that's the montage.
I said strawberries. You fool. Uh-oh. SpaghettiOs.
Wow, dude, SpaghettiOs. Chef Boyardee said, "Uh-oh, SpaghettiOs."
It's just such a weak
SpaghettiOs is
premise.
Product that you might remember. That's why it's funny. He said the name of a product. That's a joke. Wow, dude, Andy Warhol. It's funny because it's supposed to be Andy Warhol. That's the joke. There's a scene where they get Steve to test out the Pop-Tarts, and it's so exaggerated. You see, in a normal movie, they would do it normal.
That's the
but
joke.
This movie's just so wacky and over the top and just zany and hilarious. See, he's in a space suit, and then something happens and he blows up, and it's like, whoa, that's a crazy thing to happen in a movie. I'm fucking rolling out of my seat all the way to my grave and still laughing. The little grave boy had to dig me up because I was laughing so loud.
Wait, over there, what's that? Is that a man?
Steve Schwinn, Steve!
No, it's me, Chuck. Steve blew up.
What?
You see, that part's funny because they thought Steve lived, and then he said, "I'm not Steve," and Steve's actually dead. Steve blew up. The joke is that you maybe thought that Steve was fine after, but the movie is so edgy and morbid. This doesn't just feel like a bunch of rich, out-of-touch morons LARPing with each other. Yeah, that was a character. This is what satire is. It's when you do something and don't try, right?
Steve was great.
Haha, waha, whoa. This is a funeral. The mascots don't belong at funerals. Most funerals don't have cereal mascots at them. That is the comedy. That's the joke. Most funerals don't do that. There's mascots for cereal at the funeral. It's funny.
It's a bunch of
CG milk.
fruits.
They couldn't afford real milk. I don't know why the milk
This is the
was
future
CG.
furries want.
Wow, dude, Snap, Crackle, and Pop are saying their names at a funeral.
Oh
It's
my
like they're
God.
folding a flag, but it's breakfast themed. It's a brand, and you recognizing the brand in of itself is the humor.
Yeah, just
Brand.
Jerry Seinfeld just has like the lamest ideas for jokes and that.
It was all they had for me. It was Taft's.
William Howard Taft, first 300-pound president.
It's funny that he's wearing a big suit, and it's because they're visiting the president, and they said it was Taft's, and Taft was fat, and they explain it for us in case we didn't understand that. They literally say that he was the first 300-pound president, and they put a chocolate in his pocket. It's a Baby Ruth.
There's a half-eaten Baby Ruth in the pocket.
That's a brand. It's funny.
Get it?
Guys, it's funny. Start laughing. I'm funny.
There's a level of sophistication in the silliness.
Wow, dude, Cranky Kong. Wow, dude, Jan 6. Yo, why does this movie have to get political? You just can't make comedy anymore. The left is destroying comedy.
The fucking furries are there. What the
Jan
hell?
6, but there's mascots.
Yeah.
It's the cereal people. It's a funny. This is a
I
satire.
thought furries were
because
nice.
You know what Jan 6 was? And we're
No,
doing
they're all
that. That's
alt-right
what
now.
Satire is. You show a thing, and people recognize it. You can tell it's satire because Jerry does a silly face sometimes. See, I'm not actually trying,
Jerry does
and
a
that's
silly
the
face.
joke. The movie's not bad. It's
What?
satire.
What's
Oh,
going
here's
on?
Amy Schumer,
What's
a
she
great
doing
and
for
funny
us?
comedian. I wonder what she has to say.
There's always a surprise inside the box, isn't there, Eddie?
That was
Ugh.
a funny joke because box means vagina. She said, my vagina. Melissa
My
McCarthy
vagina.
is also in the movie, and Jerry does not know how to direct her. He does not know how to write a character for her. She has some strengths, but Jerry has no idea how to put those in his movie. This pathetic excuse for a film has no sense of pacing whatsoever. The editing in this movie is fucking atrocious. These cuts are from the movie. We did not make these cuts. This is how quick a lot of the cuts are in this movie. This is how the movie is shot. He does not know how to film a scene. The framing is terrible. It's stale. It's bland. There is no artistry to be found here. There is no talent to be found here. Unsurprisingly, Jerry does not know how to write for or direct children. The children in this film are awful.
Is it? Or is it some hot fruit lightning the man doesn't want you to have?
What the fuck?
You've got your name right there. The first letter of each word. Toaster ready anytime treat. Put on plate. Trap pop.
The joke
no
is
idea
that
what
we
kids
know
say.
it's called Pop-Tart, so we know that that's
It was
not
hip
the
or whatever.
name. They said it's something that sounded similar. That's the funny. That's the funny, everybody. That's the funny. They say the word dingus many times in this film. That's a funny word. You can just say the word and it's funny. Dingus. I'm honestly impressed that someone was able to turn the word dingus into something that wasn't funny. Honestly. Literally every other time I've heard someone say the word dingus, it was funny. But they say it a lot in
Every
this
time
film,
I heard it,
and
it was on The
never is.
Simpsons,
For the
and
entire
Nelson said it.
runtime of this film, I laughed once, and it was at an
Diddly
emote that
dingus.
someone posted in chat
Dingus.
called Lives from Based. And I don't remember the context, but I found that to be a funny emote. So here they made a fake commercial, and whoever edited this didn't understand that to make something look old, you don't fucking pixelate it, because old film was on film. It wasn't shot with digital cameras. Pixelation is from digital video compression. This isn't an old YouTube upload. This is also the first film to make Bill Burr not funny. He's not funny.
Aw, that
They
sucks.
somehow made Bill Burr not funny. And since he's playing JFK, he's trying to do the accent,
The
but
Bill
he's
Burr's
not
not
doing
funny.
a great job.
You have to win. Are you making any progress?
I guess at the end of the day, this movie is bad in a different way than the Cheetos movie was. That movie was kind of disgusting, corporate propaganda pretending to be a real story. And this movie is also disgusting, corporate propaganda pretending to be satire without understanding satire. According to Jerry, this movie was made without the permission of Pop-Tarts, which might be true, I don't know. You'd think that a movie made under those circumstances would be a bit more critical about what they're covering.
I'm talking about happy childhoods for millions of American kids.
A bit more actual commentary or jokes or, I don't know, satire. You made a movie without their permission that they loved so much that they're promoting. You made an ad
Well,
for
that's so dumb.
Pop-Tarts.
Just make you uncomfortable? I'll step out.
These things
So
are the
weird.
greatest two rectangles?
Yeah.
Ten Commandments.
It's like
Yeah,
We
it's
didn't
a
do ads,
satire
but
that
still
achieves the
supporting
exact
us.
same goals that it would have if it wasn't. It's so silly. Wow, it's so silly. This is the Pop-Tarts movie that they didn't want you to see. There's so much substantive commentary on breakfast.
There's a level of sophistication in the silliness.
Quote
Alright, this
unquote
movie was
breakfast.
fucking painful. Absolute garbage.
Yeah.
I don't know what else there is to say about it. It's like if Tim and Eric were bad at satire. It is not smart enough to be satire. It's just shit. It's fucking garbage. None of the jokes are jokes. Jerry Seinfeld is a comedian that doesn't understand comedy. They have zero understanding of how to make a film at all. My life is worse from having seen this film. Do
Damn.
not watch it. Embarrassing. Easy 1 out of 10. Absolutely
Oh,
disgusting.
shit.
Pure garbage. Dude, new YMS merch.
I
John!
get that.
Get me out of here! Father, get yours at ymsmerch.com. Thank you.
I might skip that. Damn it.
Yeah, pretty good, huh?
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's really good. Thanks for recommending it.
Oh, for sure.
Anything else you want to watch, or do you want me to find something else?
Oh, you can work on your art or whatever you like, baby.
Oh, I can do both at the same time. That's what I was doing. I'm working on art and watching.
Oh, nice. Yeah, you can put on some music or something if you want.
Okay. Oh, I might put on something though. Let's already have it on, and you don't have to watch whatever I'm watching. So you could, if you're playing Sword.
Oh, thanks, baby.
I'll probably just. Looking at whatever I was watching before. I was looking at scenes of old X-Men.
Oh, nice.
I found some old
Just seeing it.
peanut butter or Superman peanut butter commercials.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I forgot that he had his own peanut butter for a little bit.
Yeah, I didn't even know that.
It was a while back. I wanted to sing about the gaming historian, I guess. I was kind of
Oh,
curious.
cool.
Oil up and hit the gym with me.
The channel, Gaming Tutorial.
These guys talking about the Red Cow Arcade guys. We watched them, I think. They talk about AVGN
Nice.
sometimes.
Historian, right?
Yeah, I just watched his Oregon Trail thing. I thought it was it's the same quality you expect from him. You know what I will the one thing that always pulls me out of a gaming historian video. Can you guess what it is?
Those like illustrations?
Yes, it's those webcomic ass illustrations.
Yeah, because they don't fit the style.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
You would need something that would be more akin, like I don't know, like a Civil War reenactment photo or something. But yeah, they're just like, they really stick out to me as like, why is like a Penny Arcade cartoon in here for some reason?
Well, because everything else that you're watching, you would see on like WGBH documentaries or something, and so all of a sudden, when like this like internet, this thing that's kind of like suited for Reddit or something comes up, you're like,
Yeah.
this doesn't fit. Whereas I like when he went out like to that university and he got those like beautiful wide shots of the campus and stuff, that, you know, those nice tripod shots of the campus. I was like, this is kind of setting a nice stage. And this one, more than his past videos, it felt like he went on location and shot more.
Yeah, and the interviews are really good, I thought,
Yeah.
too, and added a lot. So
Yeah, and it's one of those really, one of those gaming curiosities where it's like that was in every school. Everybody has.
Oh, were you talking to me?
Oregon Trail.
Oh no, I was looking
I
at.
didn't realize it started off as like a text adventure thing for ancient.
They're just talking about the gaming
Telltale
historian.
PCs or whatever.
Right after he released that, I don't know, 2 or 3 days later.
I didn't know if you had
It
it
was
like in
an
the
hour and a half
background
long.
or anything.
It was a, full blown documentary.
Did you ever hear about the gaming historian?
When they make like they release maybe.
I've heard of the YouTube channel.
They work their asses off on it. It's 7 hours. It's 2 hours. It's 14 hours. Whatever. When they do that, I always think like.
Do you have a documentary made about him or something?
Creators like
yeah, it's just these two commentator guys.
It's not that well produced. Like you can kind of understand how it got how 7 hours.
Do you have a Discord on in your computer or
meticulously
your phone?
Researched, scripted, quite nice.
Yeah, I have it on my phone.
It had a narrative, yeah.
And I always think like
I could.
Wouldn't it make some sense to try to put this behind a paywall? 90-minute movie. I mean, giving away 90-minute movies for free.
Yeah, but at the same time, I don't know. I feel like this is it, man.
You think this is the best way to monetize that content? Is just get the ads?
So what I think what Norm did was right. You start off with like making a name for yourself, and then you can do that luxurious, bigger content.
Like,
and people will be bought in.
It's been up for 3 weeks. It has 612,000 views, but that's an hour and a half. And I imagine that it's pretty well viewed, probably. So, we all know that watch time is. So if you got 2 million views, but it was a 10-minute video, that is actually going to yield a lot less revenue than if 600,000 people watch all of your 90-minute movie, right? So he probably got a big payday on this, but And I think, I mean, how often, let's see how often he uploads per year. Let's see. So yeah, he did the first cartridge, the story of the first video game cartridge 10 months ago. And then 3 weeks ago, he made the story of Oregon Trail. So he does not upload often. Like when he did the story of Mario Kart, that got 2.3 million and that was a 50-minute video. So maybe that's interesting. I know Mario is more marketable than Oregon Trail, but.
So yeah, he has 2,235 members and he has 3 tiers, $1 tier, $3 tier, $7 tier. So he's doing pretty well.
What about his? Let's see. I think his ad revenue is not that great. Social Blade, which I found like the higher end estimate, it tends to be pretty accurate on this thing. Socialblade.com. They estimate $63,000 in just the YouTube ad revenue. So add that to what you just said. I think we're probably talking about $200,000 a year that go into his pocket. And so he's not the gaming historian doesn't have fuck you money.
No, it's like it's a well-paying like office job, and you probably have gotten promoted a bunch of times.
Yeah, that's a really good way to put it. And it must enjoy doing it, right? So he gets to talk about cool video games, meet developers, and only has to put out 2 things a year. And well, so he put out this thing to his patrons or somebody. This went out. Hello, everyone. For the past 2 weeks, I've been on break, unwinding from finishing my latest documentary on Oregon Trail. I have to admit, it has been nice. I've been played video games for fun, not research. I worked on some tasks around the house. My air conditioner needed a cleaning real bad. I've gone on long walks with my wife, Kristen, and I picked up woodworking projects I had abandoned a few months ago. During this time, I've also been reflecting on my life and thinking about the future of Gaming Historian. While I still enjoy making the show, it consumes most of my life. Whenever I finish up a big project, the immediate thought in my head is, okay, next video. I'd like to get back to that feeling of wanting to make a video rather than having to make a video. There are also other things I'd like to pursue and accomplish, and I don't feel that it is possible while making a YouTube show full-time. So I've made the tough decision to permanently take a step back from Gaming Historian. Permanently, EJ. There's nothing sinister.
What, really?
Yes. There's nothing sinister behind my decision. I just felt like it was the right time. Because I will no longer be producing the show full-time, I'll be shutting down my Patreon effective May 1st. I first launched the Patreon back in 2015 when I made Gaming Historian my full-time job. It was a huge help toward not only financial security, but elevating the production level of my content. But since YouTube will no longer be my full-time career, I'm not comfortable collecting donations anymore. If you'd like to continue supporting the show, the best way you can do that is simply watch videos on YouTube. I also plan to stream on Twitch from time to time, so I hope you'll pop in and say hello. So what will I do with my new free time? I'm going to keep improving my woodworking. I'm planning on visiting my family more often. I'd like to finish my master's degree. I'm also co-hosting a history/comedy podcast with Kristen, something we've wanted to do for a long time, an old-timey podcast coming soon. I do want to make one thing clear. Gaming Historian is not going away. It will simply go back to being what it was when I started the show 16 years ago, a hobby that I work on in my spare time. As always, thanks for watching, Norm.
Wow, you're telling me this for the first time.
He just died? Wow. I didn't know that. I just, you're telling me now for the first time. He was a wonderful man. He did a great thing.
So Elton John's playing in the background.
Oh, that killed me. I didn't expect that.
She led an amazing life. What else can you say? She was an amazing woman.
I'm like, I have to do the ear thing where he's like trying to listen intently.
I don't want to talk about Norm anymore. What's the Elton John song that they're playing in the back?
He just died? Wow. I didn't know that. I just, you're telling me now for the first time. She led an amazing life. What else can you say? She was an amazing woman.
All right, let's say it about Norm. Let's give Norm a send-off that he deserves. What can you say? He was an amazing man. He was an amazing woman. When I first saw this for the first time, my first thought was, oh, I'm glad he's got money. Because, like, he's a young man. I think he's about my age or younger. And I don't think you can live off of the YouTube backlog for the rest of your life, right?
I wouldn't think so.
He's probably paid off his house. That's good.
He's got a master's degree he's working on.
Yeah, so he must be planning to rejoin the workforce. It's a wild thing.
Yeah. I don't know, man. He did it. I mean, if that's what he wants to do.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what he's going. He doesn't. Does he? Do you know what he is going for his master's for?
He didn't say.
Be interesting.
He's telling me this for the first time. He maybe he talked an awful lot about woodworking during that whole thing.
Yeah, he did. Maybe
maybe he wants to work with his hands or something. I don't know. On the one hand, you read it and you relate to it. You know, because we've all been on the. If you make content, you're on this like content treadmill. Mike Matei has talked about that before. He's like, I just wanted to get out of the treadmill. You know, this next video thing. This whole like, I better go over to my computer and start editing thing. So I get it. I get it more because it's not my job actually. So it's much more tempting to quit. But obviously there's the aside from the fact that there's a financial component to it for him, there's also kind of just like once you gain an audience, you don't want to just ditch an audience. It's not easy to gain an audience. It's also not easy to make money. Making money is hard. And so walking away from money is obviously that's always something to be admired to some degree. But all I can think is like,
especially through your own content.
Really quit? Well, I guess he's not, right? He's like, no. I'll be doing be doing it whenever, you know.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe that's very healthy. I mean, I can't imagine, but especially because like he's upping his game so much, and it's like he's so like you can tell that he's like the little animations he does with it, like when like the little like computer animations that you would do throughout and stuff like that, and it's like.
He's quitting on top. What I do know is just quitting your job one day because you realize that your job sucks without like a backup plan or something is pretty ballsy. I mean, it's not something I would ever do personally. I've talked about one time when I was a busser when I was 16, I rage quit. But other than that, I think I would always got to kind of find the next thing before you. But maybe he's got a plan. When we were talking about it on Discord, our friend Anthony was like, good for him. He doesn't owe anybody an explanation. Do whatever you want. And like, I relate to that. I understand that. This sense of like, hey, you don't owe anybody anything. It's your time. You can do whatever you want with your time. But I did have to push back a little bit on this idea of like, you don't owe anybody anything. Cause it's like, well, if you cultivate an audience, then you have a relationship with that audience, and you do owe them something. Be like you and I are friends. I wouldn't just stop taking your phone calls one day. Like, I don't fuck you. I owe you no explanation. It is.
Yeah.
So the question is like, is the relationship with the audience akin to or similar enough to a friendship that it is a relationship at the very least that you do owe them a statement like this at the very least, I think.
Yeah. Well, yeah, you have backers, you have collaborators, you have like an ecosystem that you're kind of in. So there is like, there is some damage that you're doing. You know, like, I mean, it's not damageless, is what I'm saying.
I would think
it might be worth it. It might be worth it if you think it's like physically, like you'll be better off afterwards. If you think that damage is worth it, but you are doing some damage.
I would think by far the easiest thing to do would be to hire some slobs. This is very slobbable content. I think this is much.
I don't know anything about his
Slobs.
process. I assumed he did have slobs or something.
He must, but if he feels like he's buried by work, then he must not be delegating it enough. Because you could decide like, all right, instead of quitting and just turning off the money spigot, I'll leave it on. I won't quit publicly or anything. Maybe, a la Scott Lawaz, maybe announced like, hey, I'm bringing on new researchers and like for content like this, you could totally do that. Like I'm bringing on new researchers, and nobody would care. Continue to be the narrator, right?
You think Ken Burns does every second of his documentaries? No, I bet most of it is delegated and his name is on the top.
Whereas AVGN is quite different, where like the comedy has a voice. Now, granted, the documentaries have a voice, but even that voice in this particular case is kind of aping the Ken Burns PBS thing in the first place. So I think he could totally I think he could probably make easily like 6 of these that are 45 minutes per year and just have like several crews going and just oversee them. Get together as a team, come up with who's doing what. Take a way smaller cut of the money, but at least the thing can keep living. And then if you ever want to go back to it, or you ever, you always have the option. That's just how I think.
That's how, but maybe that's not his personality.
Yeah.
Maybe he's not one to want to delegate. Maybe that sounds like misery to him to delegate that much. But he maybe does delegate. I don't know what he delegates, so
it just seems like it's just killing a. This is not like AVGM where it's like, oh my God, the joke is dead. Oh my God, there's nothing left to do here. He could do this forever. Just talk about he could talk about modern games. He could do this forever. You could do the N64. He could
a new retro game every day. I mean, like Xbox 360 is retro now, and the PlayStation 3 or the Wii is retro.
The history of LucasArts. The
history of the Wii Motion Plus. You could do anything.
Yeah. This could go on for years. So
I don't even remember the Wii Motion Plus.
So obviously, I thought the communication was pretty well managed, and he's a well liked entity generally. Pretty inoffensive guy.
And you want to see him make some tables in his garage or whatever.
Yeah,
Fuck.
yeah, you do. It does startle me when somebody just quits their fucking job. Like what? When the thing could continue to be sustained, but hey. More power to him. A respectable decision. Another one bites the dust. Another YouTuber quitting.
Blue jean baby.
Fucking song.
You're telling me now for the first time.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm surprised because I don't think he even made that many videos, did he?
No, they're gonna say I don't even know if he made more than 10 or.
Yeah, that's just kind of weird. But I guess he had like a big enough, he made enough money, and then he's like, "Okay, I'm good. We'll just go out and do my own thing now."
Yeah, he probably wanted to do something else. But if he was doing all of it himself, he probably just got getting burnt out from just having to do it constantly, consistently.
Yeah.
And you don't want to end up like being like someone like DSP or something.
Yeah. No, that's understandable.
And maybe if he has enough money, he should probably hire people. I wish I could.
Yeah.
That'd be cool. But
Oh, are you gonna stay up for a little bit more?
Yeah, I was gonna put on another. I was gonna put on the one where they talk about My Horse Prince. I don't know if you wanted to stay and watch that one for a bit, or if you're gonna head out.
Oh, I was just getting a little sleepy. That's all.
Oh, that's fine. If you need to get to bed, that's cool. I was gonna stay up for probably a bit more.
Oh, that's cool, baby. You want to hang tomorrow? Tomorrow?
Yeah, yeah, we can hang tomorrow. Look at you.
That'd be cool.
Are we ready for this?
Oops.
Yeah, let's quit edging our audience. Let's get right to the
I was
horse.
just
All right. See you later, baby.
Oh yeah, no problem. Thanks for hanging around and streaming with me.
I haven't been able to.
Oh, for sure, baby.
Yeah,
Love you.
love you. Have a good night.
Night, night.
Play this. Excuse me. Whoa. Yeah.
Upload a video in recent weeks without people being like, yeah, tell me about Horse Prince. We've talked about James many times. It's been like 8 months or something. It's been a
Make sure
long time.
everything-
With a
yeah.
thing like this, he's going to bring us out of retirement, isn't he?
You know, in the peak Screenwave era, obviously that was a disaster, but they did some things to like lessen the bleeding. Took out slobs from videos. They're gone. Drastically reduced all content. Sequestered Rex Viper content to its own dead channel.
Look what I did. I started a YouTube channel. Yeah, we have a long way to build this channel up. That's why I say subscribe.
So really all you get right now is like the occasional neighbor nerds or the occasional nerd video. And so it's definitely not my favorite content, but it definitely made things less interesting to talk about.
Yeah, he ushered in a new era of boring stability.
I guess the idea is that the forces of good and evil are battling over Jekyll's soul. I guess the idea is that the forces of good and evil are battling over Jekyll's soul.
Anything that was controversial, he basically purged the channel of.
This is likely like the second to last time I will be streaming.
I mean, he's really doing basically nothing besides AVGN, and
Like the second to last time I will be streaming.
I mean, he's really doing basically nothing besides AVGN and Neighbor Nerds. That's it. So he invites over a childhood friend, a guy who looks like he's never been on camera before. And
That's what I'm saying.
seems like a plenty nice guy, you know, a wedding photographer fella with a voice that's right in the bottom of his throat. I can't impersonate him, but
The history of Overwatch is kind of interesting. The original Overwatch game.
he's got that laugh. Really? I like him. I like John, the Neighbor Nerd.
Yeah, seems like he's a nice guy.
John's cool.
I don't think he's a natural born entertainer. And James looks significantly sleepier than he's ever looked. This is a sleepier character than we've ever had before. It's like, how many times are you going to talk about how checked out this dude is before there's just nothing left to talk about? And I do want to preface this with, we're recording this right now, like during a time when there's 2 wars going on. And there's like some shit happening in the world. Like there's some, you know, we're in an election year. Like the political divide is as crazy as it's ever been in my lifetime. You know, James is not the most serious topic in the world. So let's just all remember that. I remember one time James actually said, he was like, come to Cinemassacre to get away from the bad things of the world. Yeah. He said something like that.
There's tons of horrible stuff going on in the world, but this is where you come to talk trivial, fun stuff, whether it's discussing opinions on movies or the history of some obscure game console, and hopefully have a good laugh here and there.
And I feel the same way. I'm like, you know what? Come here. We'll have a laugh about how checked out this dude is. But like we don't hate him.
Yeah, we like him. We're just, it's interesting.
But I want to talk about, and I think that this video highlights something we all go through, which is aging. I think what we're looking at is a man who's aging. And the question is, what do you tell elderly people? This sounds terrible. What do you...
It's like we're like visiting our like grandfather in the home or something. Like, he might not always know where he is.
Like he's got to get up and he's got to walk around. You can't do everything for him. He's got to do it for himself. Don't feeding him the pudding. Make sure have him get up. Even if he just takes a walk outside for 10 minutes, that's better than most of the folks in this home that can't get up anymore. It's important they keep moving. No, but I sort of mean it where if you don't want, like I find, I heard something great recently. Okay. It was, I love this. To stay hungry, you got to keep eating. And the concept was, and you can apply this to anything that you kind of want to go after, maybe except for food itself. Get fat. But if you've ever been on a fast before, you go like 3, 4, 5 days without eating. I've never done anything like that before. But you've heard from people, I think I've gone 48 hours. It's probably max for me. But you'll hear from people that you stop being hungry at a certain point. Like you get through this cliff and then you're like, oh, I'm just not hungry anymore. But the moment you have a bite, like you're starving again. And so I think the same could be true of like, you and I have been like running hard creatively for like years. And don't you think that if you took 6 months off, it would be really hard to get back into the routine you've been in for all these years?
Yeah, absolutely. When I'm off the track, I'm not thinking about it at all. I'm not like thinking, oh, I could cook this, I could do this, I could...
You lose your appetite for it, actually.
Yeah.
The same is obviously true with exercise. It's like if you had a nice routine where you were getting the exercise in every day, you don't do that for 1 week. 1 week you don't do it. And you'll be like, am I the kind of guy that really exercises? And so we all know that with age and with undisciplined habits, we will atrophy naturally, all of us. And so I think as you get older, if you want to hang on to the parts of yourself that are valuable to you, whether it be your health or your level of engagement in a relationship, with your wife, let's say, or whatever, like your career or your creative discipline, like you do have to just sometimes like keep at it just so that you don't atrophy. So I feel like he has, maybe during the slob era, maybe during COVID, something, but like obviously he's atrophied to the point that like it's very hard to come back. This episode, he decided to make an episode about a mobile game called My Horse Prince. If there were categories of AVGN episodes, I would put this in the WTF category. Like when he did Big Rigs, or when he did Seaman, for the Dreamcast, or Hong Kong 97. These like what the fuck games. Like where did this thing come from? This is one of those games. It's like JonTron does this, or it did this much more often, which was like, I'm gonna do Disney bootlegs from China, and strangely, like there's a clip of Simba, hanging himself when you.
Oh my lord!
There's all this like what the fuck media that's out there.
A talking cat! Exclamation point! Question mark! Exclamation point!
And I don't know that ever really fit the AVGN thing all that well. Oh, but plumbers don't wear ties. That's another one. But I think that all of those episodes were fun novelties, and I think he knows it. Because they kind of did buck the trend in a cool, fun way. It's just one of those games. It's just like kind of instantly funny. Hong Kong 97, obviously.
Oh, shit. Sorry. I was just trying to pause it for a second.
You stop being hungry.
I'll be right back. Because I am hungry. I'm going to grab a snack.
at a certain point.
All right, I'm back.
Like you get through this cliff again. You and I think that if you took 6 months off, it would be really hard to get back into the routine you've been in for all these years.
Yeah, absolutely. When I'm off the track, I'm not thinking about it at all. I'm not like thinking, oh, I could cook this, I could do this, I can.
You lose your appetite for it, actually.
Yeah.
You know, the same is obviously true with exercise. It's like if you had a nice routine where you were getting the exercise in every day, you don't do that for 1 week. 1 week you don't do it, and you'll be like, am I the kind of guy that really exercises? And so we all know that with age and with undisciplined habits, we will atrophy naturally, all of us. And so I think as you get older, if you want to hang on to the parts of yourself that are valuable to you, whether it be your health or your level of engagement in a relationship, with your wife, let's say, or whatever, like your career or your creative discipline, like you do have to just sometimes like keep at it just so that you don't atrophy. So I feel like he has, maybe during the slob era, maybe during COVID, something, but like obviously he's atrophied to the point that like it's very hard to come back. This episode,
I forgot to draw the
decided
chairs.
to make an episode about a mobile game called My Horse Prince. If there were categories of AVGN episodes, I would put this in the WTF category. Like when he did Big Rigs, or when he did Seaman, for the Dreamcast, or Hong Kong 97. These like what the fuck games. Like, where did this thing come from? This is one of those games. It's like JonTron does this, or it did this much more often, which was like, I'm gonna do Disney bootlegs from China, and strangely, like there's a clip of Simba, hanging himself when you.
Not again.
There's all this like what the fuck media that's out there.
A talking cat! Exclamation point! Question mark! Exclamation point!
And I don't know that ever really fit the AVGN thing all that well. Oh, plumbers don't wear ties. That's another one. But I think that all of those episodes were fun novelties, and I think he knows it. Because they kind of did buck the trend in a cool, fun way. It's just one of those games. It's just like kind of instantly funny. Hong Kong 97, obviously insane. Seaman. But what Seaman has in common with this My Horse Prince game is that it knows that it's a what the fuck kind of a game. It's not The Room, where it doesn't know what it is.
Anyway, how is your sex life? It's like a Sharknado where they make it ridiculous on purpose.
What would you call it? Like a dating sim meets Tamagotchi kind of a game. Everything about it is a non sequitur. It's got like incredibly different animation styles from character to character.
You're an anime girl and you're trying to
find my
woo the
saves.
horse, and then there's like different scenarios, like the horse has to like work out on
Forgot what I did with them,
treadmills
shit.
that keep breaking.
I think it's a fairly famous mobile game for being so ridiculous and absurd, and there's probably heaps of these sorts of things out there. I don't know. I feel like the last few AVGNs, like for the Indiana Jones one, it's like, oh, I'll shoot it like an old AVGN episode, which is kind of clever in that situation. Or for Halloween, I'll do this Exorcist one where I'll do special effects makeup, and I feel like he's trying to get back into like the, hey, like what's the thing that I can do that will make this different? And this one was pretty miscalculated. It was I'll shoot it on a phone. Like I'll shoot it on I guess an iPhone. And so there's technical problems to start with, which is the iPhone obviously is a very sophisticated camera. It's a lovely camera. But there's something about it where if you shoot in HDR mode on your iPhone and you bring it into a Mac, into Premiere, it overexposes it unless you apply a different color profile, like one of the different color profiles that's available. And even then, like I would apply a LUT to it to like tone it down a little bit. But I could tell right off the bat, I'm like, oh, so almost anytime I've ever had a technical hurdle and I've overcome it, James has not overcome it.
Yes, and the front camera, there was like sharpening on it, so you saw a lot more detail in his longer forehead, and so you can see those wrinkles,
warping his big
Oh my
egg
God.
head. Like I don't think he's a hideous guy, but like it made him hideous.
Especially when he's like opening his mouth, and it accentuates his hairline up. It's not very flattering. And I understand the conceit because, yes, it's a mobile game and it's portrait, but I kind of was like, he should have gotten the whole thing and just made the portrait resolution for the whole video, And maybe that was their plan, like, oh, and then we can, on social media, we can do these clips that will be in portrait mode. Maybe that's what they were thinking.
They should have at least like cut out to like a wide camera that's showing him wandering around the place and get some comedy out of that, maybe.
Yeah, because there's a few things where he's like, we're going to the horse.
If I could pick only one to review, of course,
go with the horse.
It kind of assumed that we knew what he was talking about to begin with. They obviously already did it on James and Mike Monday, but I feel like it would be more fun for the nerd character to discover the game.
When I think of this episode, and there, like the thumbnail too was really slapped together. It was just like a picture of the game on the left and like him on the right. There was kind of nothing designed about the thumbnail. So a lot of people on Cinemaster of Truth were like, I thought for sure this was one of us that made this. Another thing that this is minor too, so forgive me. I have never liked when and he did it, you know, a long time ago. He introduced this idea that the nerd has not heard of any technology newer than 1995 or something.
This is after my time. I don't know anything about this here PlayStation 2 and Xbox shit.
I'm talking old school. None of this PS4 bullshit. What's that stand for? Piss on the floor?
What?
A little bit out of date, so I decided it's about time. So I got myself a new phone. Yeah, I guess it's a phone because it's also a camera.
When I watched the first season of the show, I never thought like, oh, he's like literally stuck in the past. I thought that it was funnier. It was a funnier concept that he is a loser, you know, a nerd,
Yeah.
who is getting wasted and not psychologically getting past these games he's never beaten before.
Yes.
So he lives in the modern world. Maybe he's aware of modern, you know, maybe he's not as aware as the rest of us because he's kind of stuck in this loop. But it's just because he plays retro games doesn't mean he's only aware of retro games. That never made a ton of sense to me. And I think it nerfs the comedy actually. Like it kind of, now it makes it so that like you can't have him review a Wii game without him being like, what's a Wii? And it's fucking stupid and it's annoying.
And you could talk to people by typing instead of using your voice. Wow.
And then at the end, he brings it back. He's like, he holds up like a 1930s like phone, like you'd see in It's a Wonderful Life or something. He's like, "This is my phone now." It's like, joke. Okay, thank you.
Fuck these modern phones. I'm sticking with the old shit. This is my phone now.
Again,
Oh my
I just
God.
think, like, putting up this narrative boundary on the thing is very James. It's to be like, no, we have to acknowledge that he doesn't know what a cell phone is, and that'll be half the goddamn episode. I thought like the microtransaction joke was like okay, or he's like, who would pay real money for this? Okay, let's see here.
What kind of idiot would spend real money on this game? All right, let's do it.
When he was texting with Bugs Bunny and it was playing the Crazy Castle theme, that felt kind of okay to me.
Oh, that's so cool. That was cool.
The duck you joke over and over.
Duck you.
Oh yeah, duck you. It's very safe. You know,
yes.
It's not groundbreaking or anything to say. Like it autocorrects you to duck.
The whole charging, like he has to charge the phone segment, was so lame. So lame. Where he's like running over to the drawer and he has to like he's like trying to find the charger. It's like
oh, was that a callback to his busted drawer?
I think so.
Somebody brought up the busted drawer. And they're like, that's one of the dumbest videos. That's so James.
Take a look at this drawer right here. This thing that it's full of instruction manuals and all kinds of random stuff I have. And the weight bent and like broke through. All the manuals are just sliding down this hole. So I can't even open them, which makes it useless. And it's one of those things that you just don't have time to deal with. Compare it to this wood shelf I've had since the 80s. I just want to get those drawers out so I can do some repairs. Well, the problem is the shelves are blocking it. Yeah. So I get everything off of it. I move all the consoles away from the wall. And now I can remove the drawers. Yay. You can see I've repaired these things many times before. So a bunch of sawdust and sweat later, and I have all the shelves. Yay. Now all I gotta do is reset everything to normal again.
It's pretty obvious that you should like if you can get that thing out of that room, like remove it completely and buy a nicer drawer. And but at the time I wasn't critical at all. I didn't feel critical at all. I was like, this is kind of a funny, cute story about like, you know, does anybody else have furniture that they've just been neglecting, you know, and it's become a disaster in your room? And I was like, that was a kind of a funny, relatable, charming thing. But
I think everybody's had some kind of junk drawer where you just throw all kinds of random miscellaneous stuff in there.
You look back at it with the Bimmy mindset.
In the fullness of time,
excuse me.
The rest of it. Watching him reinforce IKEA furniture with like planks of wood, it's curious. Because he has an opportunity to just get something that works this time.
He's already taking the stuff out of the drawers in the first place.
Right. Like he did all the hard stuff and he's still like, nah, this
I
piece
like
of
this.
furniture that I hate, that hasn't worked out for me, that I've overstuffed.
Oh, where did I get this cheap piece of shit? You ask? It's IKEA.
But no, it felt like a lame
What?
bit that was just like stalling for time. It's like, we got to get to 20 minutes. So it's.
So when I think of this episode, I think of two things: his warped head, and I think of fake laughter.
Dude, that's so funny because I have two notes. It says the fake laughing and lens distortion.
Yeah, it's like what defines this thing?
The horse's hoof almost went right through her fucking skull. The horse is shoving the fucking green onions down my fucking throat.
Poor guy.
Oh, dear Lord.
Yeah, especially because of the lens distortion, and he's like doing the cracking up. It like, yeah, it like alters his mouth in a way that's like ghoulish.
Yeah, it creates this kind of this madness. So much so, you could almost make a case that he was going for something. Like somebody who was losing his fucking mind in this room that he can't manage. But I don't think so. I think he was like, I'll shoot it on a phone and that will be innovative. Like in other episodes, like in Big Rigs, in Hong Kong 97, he has these speechless, all I can do is crack up laughing moments that are kind of cute.
It's Jackie Chan playing Bruce Lee's relative shit.
And also, if you go back to the James and Mike Monday one, they do earnestly crack up while they're playing the game. And I think he wanted to recreate that sort of a feeling. And we all know that his acting ability has just tanked for some reason. I mean, he was never Meryl Streep, but he now comes off very insincere. One of the least appealing things to watch when you're watching a piece of media is something that is fake, obviously fake. Right? Like something that's obviously inauthentic. It's off-putting. You're like, okay, I kind of want to turn this off now, please.
And that was the charm of early Nerd, especially. He didn't overreact as much. The whole video is overreacting. It's exhausting.
For him and for us. He's extremely exhausted. Some of it was of a sexual nature, and he's made sex jokes on the show in the past.
Link is getting a little of the old in out. He learns all these special
Oh my God.
moves like the down thrust, the up thrust. In there, he learns the cunt thrust. He's not gonna get any from Zelda. Well, then again, she's in a sleeping spell. What was Link doing there in the first place? Oh, no. Link's a poon hound.
Obviously, he did the porn episode at one time, but took it down.
There's an Atari game, Custer's Revenge, where you fuck a naked chick up against a cactus.
But something has happened over time, maybe between becoming a dad, becoming a grown-up, losing all of the hair in the frontal hemisphere. Somehow, sex stuff feels less at home with James than ever. Keep anything sexual away from you. It's strange. I don't want it.
He's hitting that road pretty hard, but that's okay, right? It's not the only thing he's going to be hitting hard.
Because he
Oh,
tries to do
Lord.
it delicately too, which feels even more strange.
Yeah. Well, you hear people call him wholesome and stuff. I'm like, oh. I mean, this is the guy who would rather eat the rotten asshole of a roadkill skunk. I'm like, it's pretty nasty. I don't know.
So I'd rather have a buffalo take a diarrhea dump in my ear.
We've been talking about Kevin Smith.
It sounds like
right? He kind of maps
William
onto Kevin
Shatner.
Smith somewhat neatly, like a pioneer in his area. He had a niche audience that was very loyal to him. He went through kind of a mediocre patch, but still had loyalists. And now we're getting into that kind of late stage of all right, I think you've completely lost this thing. There were a lot of posts. This thing woke up Cinemassacre Truth, which had been pretty quiet. But there was one post from user El Protagonist.
Typically, this character is something called a protagonist.
The title was Rant AVGN officially shit the bed. So I've been hanging on to Cinemassacre for far too long, hoping for the faintest return of its former glory. It's been years of shit content excuses and terrible mismanagement. I watched every episode of that stupid podcast, hoping it would get better. Imagine being that person.
Oh, no.
I watched James make a Ghostbusters Afterlife review 3 months later with an afro to sell us Japanese steak knives.
When I heard the history of the Kamikoto knives, I gravitated towards them immediately. The knives all felt really well balanced in my hands and cut like a dream.
Like reviewing Afterlife months later. He's got it was he's got that fucking he had like an afro.
That afro.
And yeah, I think he was selling knives.
Kamikoto forges amazing quality Japanese steel kitchen knives.
I guess I'm just kind of fascinated by like, this is somebody who was hanging on for hope. Probably sometime around Pepsi Man, I would have given it up. But definitely the BTS video. Once you get to the BTS video, you're like, okay, he lost his fucking mind. I see.
Take a wild guess.
Remember we would always say, like, how come he's not on Patreon? Wouldn't it just make sense to be on Patreon? Stop selling the Japanese knives. Apparently, he's using YouTube memberships now. YouTube's been pushing this, like they're really trying to get people to move away from Patreon and use memberships. $1.99 a month, and what do you get? Loyalty badges next time your name is in the comments and live chat, and the custom emojis are LJN. How is that legal, by the way? Shit Pickle, Mike, who left the channel, and a mini boss for $4.99. You get photos and status updates for community. So James will post a photo. You get the Mike Matei emoji. You're gonna get the Mike Matei emoji. You're gonna get the shit pickle emoji, and for $4.99, you're also gonna get exclusive photos directly from James's drawers.
The Mike emoji, he helps. It just helps.
You could have someone help. That's called teamwork.
So for $9.99, you better get something good, right? Any live streams in the future will have member-only chats. You know all those live streams that Cinemassacre's been doing lately. You're gonna pay $9.99 to be part of those.
I went over to the Rex Viper channel. That's not really been updated really either, huh?
I can't say I subscribe.
The last video was 5 months ago. It was that like live video.
How many subs? 2.23. Wow. Wow. I have gotten more subscribers off of James's back than he could get off his own back. Damn. Damn. I've got more subscribers off his back than he has.
Well, was there any other tier? Wait, what was the other?
That was it, man.
So
$9.99.
That was it?
Yeah, you get nothing.
You get nothing for every tier.
You get nothing. You lose. Good day, sir.
I mean, 1,000% of the stuff that I just read is not managed by him. I mean, he doesn't have to lift a finger. It goes straight to Screenwave. You're helping Big Ryan grow. What kind of shithead would give real money to this thing?
Big fan.
Let's put in my credit card here. Yeah, this video.
Big fan of Big Ryan.
Something like John Trum would have done. I've always suspected that he will produce videos and determine that they're not good enough to release, and he won't produce them any further. You know, they'll experiment with something. Maybe they'll get together for a shoot. He'll react to something that he thought was funny, and then they're like, okay, there's not really any comedy here, and they'll ditch the video. This felt to me like that should have happened here, where they should have been like, oh, it's not really working, actually. Producing and editing this video wouldn't take you more than 3 days, right?
But this is totally super scripted, so it's not the same.
Yeah, but wouldn't you still make the whole thing and throw it out?
like Batgirl.
Like Batgirl, wouldn't you Batgirl this thing?
All right, I'll do it.
Let's go.
You gotta wonder what they thought of it before they released it.
If you wanted to do like a 30-second to 1 minute like mini AVGN, get together, make 1 million of them, put them out on TikTok, exclusive to TikTok. He's going to make fun of your shitty mobile game for 60 seconds. Kind of like when Gordon Ramsay will make fun of your food for 60 seconds, right?
It's a giant hot dog, for God's sake. That is not a Wellington. Stop it.
Something like that would maybe have worked in this format with this big egghead and stuff. Would be a little bit funny.
The problem I have with most nerd videos in general is they're too damn long. They get up to like 30 minutes, and I just feel like the brevity is the soul of wit, and you should just at least like 10 minutes, 12 minutes. That would be the top end. I think shorter episodes would do them wonders.
Brevity is the soul of shit.
There's nothing I can say like what would save AVGN.
But yeah, people will ask me. Sometimes they'll ask us that. They'll be like, well, like if he offered you, $500,000 and said like, come produce my content, I wouldn't do it. Like, no. It's over. It's over. It's like,
over.
It's like, hey, you want to make like an Austin Powers sequel? I'm like, it's over. No, I'm not interested.
Yeah, baby.
Just edit.
Subscribe to Red Cow Entertainment on Patreon for full episodes every other week.
Oh dear Lord. Oh.
I don't have enough money. I'm sorry. Dang, I'm all hungry all of a sudden. Why am I watching myself? I hit my stream on YouTube on accident. I don't know why. I thought I hit a Maximilian video.
We did it. We made it. We survived. We got through a compilation of Akuma
Yeah.
legacies. A couple of very important ones. I think I'll start with what I just played, which is the a little bit of the
I gotta watch
trash
those.
pile. We went from the most realistic Akuma could possibly be to also the most polygonal and unrealistic the character has ever looked. And that started with Street Fighter, the movie, the game. But technically Street Fighter, the movie, I believe. Or wait a minute, is it movie the game? Those are two different games. let me clarify. Street Fighter the movie was a game that came out in arcades back in the 90s, around the same time as Alpha and Alpha 2, and a variety of other really well-received Capcom fighting games. And it came out, and you just look at this, and it's just like, what is this? What are we looking at? And nobody plays it. I'd argue it's one of the most untouched machines in arcade history. No quarters went into this. If they were selling the cabinets, you could buy it for less than $50 or something like that.
Oh my god.
These things were unplayed. So for a long time, we just went about playing this game, or just knowing that it existed and never playing it, just assuming it's just absolute trash. Long story short, it is trash. It's balls in a basket, but it's absolutely insane and wild. And it was made by people who clearly have no idea how to make fighting games because, again, this was the mid-90s. They're just throwing shit together. Make it look like the other games is what they sort of thought. Make it look like Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter had a baby. And I feel like they did sort of a good job with that. But at the same point, man. What the fuck? Whoa! Whoa. I love it. I love it. I have a controllable Tatsu. Something that just controls somewhere in between a Mortal Kombat and a Street Fighter, and I don't mean that as a compliment. This shit is mega balls, dude. So just doing moves and motions and cancels and trying to do anything traditional with Akuma in this game was a friggin' nightmare. Granted, let's just talk about Akuma in general. This is the first time the dude is apparently selectable in a main menu, where you don't have to do a code or something absolutely wild or insane to get to him. He's just on the menu and you can play as him. So that's sort of neat, just in terms of our Akuma perspective. In this game, he's obviously effing broken, but I think the majority of stuff in Street Fighter the movie is effing broken. He just gets access to like infinite Tatsus, and you could cancel moves into moves into moves into other stuff, and it is really a mash fest, right? That's my biggest gripe of this game at the end of playing all this shit, is going through the arcade mode of this game. My fingernails are all bent back. My ass hurts, dude. Hey guys, I want you to look at the soldier behind the screen. Oh, if the game will fucking leave me the fuck alone. LP, LK, LK, LP. He's dead! You're dog meat, pal! So I gotta give it up for Street Fighter the movie, the game. This game leaves a little bit of inspiration, and I've done this before with Akuma. I think we found an infinite.
Why is it going that high?
I landed behind a character. We were fighting Raul Julia back 7-8 years ago, and I found a crouching infinite. And we landed a couple more in this one because his Tatsu Infinite in the corner is infamous. It's not hard to do specifically. Anything else is wickedly difficult. And this game also gives him a Raging Demon, but before we knew what the Raging Demon was, it just is like a wide variety of attacks because that's how these devs interpreted the Raging Demon. And it just looks like a Neo-Deadly Rave in some ways. So it's bizarre, dude. I don't know if there's much else to say about this shit other than it's crazy and it's wild and it's gross. The game is just gross on a variety of levels, but I almost appreciate it for how unhinged it is. It is truly an unhinged game, but a game that went largely unplayed for the period of time that it was out. There we go. We can actually fight now. Akuma. Oh no! What happened to Kuma? Now, there's some contrast to this. I think there's another Street Fighter, the movie, the game, that came out on PlayStation and Saturn. I remember hearing stories about this in SRK that folks got a hold of it, knew how bad it was, and when they came to making the console ports a bit later for like Saturn and PlayStation, they were like, well, let's make it play a bit more like a traditional Street Fighter. They sort of use Super Turbo as a basis.
Oh, yeah.
They effectively do that. In this version of the game, it is not nearly as flashy or crazy or good looking just because it's on consoles, but Akuma is now a secret selectable character.
I'll be right back real quick. I have Cheerios.
And you just have to input a quick code, and he is a part of an arcade mode of some kind, or versus mode, or anything like that. So it's like, okay, cool, he's here, he's playable. But he traditionally is like very much closer to a Super Turbo version of Akuma. His jumping fireball's obviously busted and dumb, and he gets access to some EX moves to a certain degree. And he gets multiple supers. He gets like, I think he got a Fireball super and a Goshoryu super. Nothing like a Raging Demon, because this is still early Raging Demon days before that stuff really got figured out, because we sort of moved back in the legacy a bit. Oh my god, I'm gonna fucking die. I didn't do any damage. Did you see that mobility? Yeah, did you see my new mobility tech, chat? That's new tech. Using, you know... So this version is okay. I think one of the worst parts about it, and playing through an Akuma Legacy and playing this version of the character in this game, is that there's so much goddamn loading. I'm spending a very large amount of my time just looking at a black screen as each and every level loads. I will say that version of the game feels better to play than the previous Akuma we did. Because things sort of made sense, right? I press medium kick and I cancel it into this and I get something, right? I do a Tatsu and then I Dragon Punch after, I'm getting something. And when you try to do that in the other Street Fighter, the movie, the game, the arcade version, there's varying degrees of, is this going to work? I don't know. I actually don't know. I'm sure there's ways to coordinate it, but the other game is moving at a speed that's so blinding and insane that it's like, I don't understand what's happening. And it's hard to understand what's happening until I play a lot of this shit. Oh, you would. What the hell? It crossed up? Damn, we're throwing quarters into this machine right now. Realistic Akuma. Is this worth like a relative Mortal Kombat-esque looking Akuma in Street Fighter the movie, the game arcade, as well as console? Is this worth investing time into? No. For anybody else, I think the absolute whack balls, goofy. Why did it start making noise all of a sudden? It just started making noise. I think it heard me talking shit. I was gonna say it's worth checking out because of how wacky and dumb it is, but now I'm not because you're a piece of shit. We played through another game that's actually a good one. A game that's very rooted in my fighting game history. And is one of those that was not really culturally accepted, and it's Street Fighter EX Plus Alpha. This is the only traditional EX game, because this is an expansion of Street Fighter EX OG. This is like the update. There was EX Plus and Plus Alpha that was on consoles, added Sakura to the game. And I have a lot of attachment to this. I borrowed it from a friend back in the day, and I just like had a lot of fun. It just was cool to see characters doing different versions of moves, especially the Shotos. And of course, the music, you know, the music's pretty influential on me. There's just a couple of tracks in here that have stuck with me for a very long time. The neat part about this game, and Akuma in it, is that he's fucking wild! Gotcha, bitch! Oh, we're done! And I get to watch it again. I got a bunch of meteors and the Earth. So another cool part about Street Fighter EX Plus Alpha is that you can get into the game and there's like a trial mode. I believe they call it expert mode. And it quite literally is a ton of combo challenges for every single character. So we went through Akuma's combo challenges, and before I got a goddamn arcade stick up and running, my god, dude, having to do these like repeated motions for his Tatsus and everything, which are multi-fireball back motions. You have to do it like 4 times to execute the entire move. It was painful, but we did get it done. And all it really did was open up a level of possibility where it's like, okay, so what is possible in this game? And it's something I don't really remember doing before. And yeah, like jumping up with a fireball and canceling that shit into a dive kick is friggin' crazy. And that does open up for a lot of crazy combo opportunities and really cool shit that he can do in this game that I didn't know about. We tried to do an infinite for a while, and it looks like an easy infinite, but similar to almost all fighting games around this time frame, something looks easy, and it's really goddamn hard. Bro! Oh my god, you are a big piece of shit, you know that? Big piece of shit. I don't know how the hell to land Demon against the computer. Giving up on that for a bit and doing some more traditional combo stuff. Yeah, I think this version of Akuma's kind of sick. And there's not many other versions like him because, again, the Street Fighter EX series goes all the way till EX3. And EX2, EX2 Plus in the arcade, much less also Street Fighter EX3 on PlayStation 3. PlayStation 2, sorry. He's gone. He's missing. This is like the only Street Fighter EX game he's in. And apparently that is story bound. I think it's like Kyrie or something like that kills him thematically in this universe of Street Fighter EX, which is a bit different than traditional Street Fighter. So he's gone. Like, he's legit not in any of the other games, which is kind of disappointing because I wanted to see what the hell he'd be like in other Street Fighter EX games. But, you know, this one's fun. I do think by the time we get to the end of the game, we start to see how painfully frustrating some of these old games are when you have to fight Bison. And yeah, similar to the Bison fight that was awesome in Street Fighter the movie, the game, it's a friggin' pain in the ass, dude. You piece of shit. This bitch had back turn combos like it was Tekken. These NPCs, this AI back in the day is just so relentless and not dying at times that it's stupid. And it's going to take your goddamn money, and it will never let go until you put in an appropriate amount of quarters and you just get friggin' lucky. A couple of games in today's Legacy compilation, because we're getting around some weird ones right now that are right around the PS1 in the middle of the 90s before we get into sort of the big boys, the Street Fighter 3 New Generations, and a lot of other stuff that comes after. But these ones in the middle are fairly interesting, and I feel like as we get into the next Legacy episode, which is going to focus around Pocket Fighter, as well as Cyberbots, these are the nutty deviations that we've been talking about for some time. So, yes, we're going to get to see how different of a character Akuma turns into in all these other games. But for now, we got to see him as a real-life human being. He turned into a real boy, and then he went as polygonal as possible. And in both variations, he's equally just as wild. My God, he was safe on that shit.
Oh my god.
Let's go. Jesus. Still tough. Do we get 3D endings? Right? Actual crazy ass endings? Or is it just straight to credits? It might just be straight to credits. Yeah? Yeah, there we go. Look at my funky ass. Look at this. Dude, look at this model. Jesus, look at it. Just look at him. Fuming. Damn, what a great ending. What a great ass ending. That was an ending.
I'm not sure what else to put on.
Likes you. At a certain point in the video, James. If you're watching this video, there's a good chance you've seen some of my other critiques of James Rolfe. In my last video, The State of Cinemassacre 2022, I mentioned that I really only watched the nerd episodes and wasn't really interested in anything else Cinemassacre had to offer. There were more than a couple of people who were shocked that I had never seen Board James. And the truth is, I had tried watching a couple of episodes of Board James back in the day, but the concept of watching James and his friends play board games did not appeal to me whatsoever. But several people in my comment section insisted that I give Board James a second chance. Well, in 2023, I finally went back and watched all of the Board James episodes. So stick around and I'll give you my thoughts. This is Dancing with Ghosts. Back when I got into the Angry Video Game Nerd, I noticed on his YouTube channel other content aside from the Nerd series. He would review horror films in a series called Monster Madness. I definitely don't share James's love of old horror movies or the horror movie genre in general, so I skipped this series. There was James and Mike Mondays, in which James Rolfe and his friend Mike Matei would do Let's Plays of retro video games. I've never been interested in watching other people play video games, so I skipped this series as well. Although I will say from what little I did see, it became clear to me that James was not a very interesting personality when he had to talk off script. It also seemed like Mike Matei was the more passionate gamer out of the two. Then there was the You Know What's Bullshit series, which I actually really enjoyed, but the videos were so short it was easy to binge the whole series in an hour or so. Then there was Board James. Aside from the Angry Video Game Nerd, Board James was easily the most fleshed out of all of James's side projects. But the concept seems so horrible to me on paper. Is this dude really going to play board games with his friends and make an entire show out of that? So the first 7 episodes were pretty much exactly what I expected. Hey, remember Mousetrap, the game that nobody actually played? We just wanted to set up the trap. Hey, remember Dragon Strike? Me neither. James actually covers a lot of board games that I've never heard of or even saw on sale at the store when I was a kid. He tends to avoid the classic board games like Clue or Monopoly. By episode 3, Crossfire, a game which I only remember from the ridiculously catchy theme song in the commercial, James is joined by Mike Matei's character, Motherfucker Mike. It was refreshing and almost, dare I say, nostalgic to see an actual friend of James in one of his videos instead of the Screenwave hired help. Almost every video going forward would feature Motherfucker Mike, which again, after knowing how things ended up between these two, is kind of bittersweet in a way. Even so, the series was pretty fucking boring thus far, and I couldn't believe that this was the show that everyone in my comment section was going on about as being great. But I pressed on. By episode 8, Mr. Bucket, I started to see what some of the hype was about. I remembered this stupid-ass game from the commercials I saw on TV as a kid. All jokes in this episode about Mr. Bucket wanting to eat your balls were sophomore and kind of hilarious. James used to have a really adept ability at using toilet humor in just the right way for it to be funny. These days, all the jokes feel forced, but back then, James still had passion for what he was doing, and it was none more obvious than this episode. James and Motherfucker Mike start playing the Mr. Bucket game, then Mike eventually gets bored and goes home. James puts the game away, but Mr. Bucket comes alive and stalks James around his house, wanting, you guessed it, his balls.
I'm Mr. Bucket!
Oh, no, no, no.
It's okay. I don't want to hurt you. I just want to suck on your balls.
The fact that up until this point, the show was just 2 dudes playing board games in a room, and now we're experiencing essentially an amateur psychological thriller, was definitely a twist in the series. By episode 9, we are introduced to Bad Luck Bootsy, the third and final character in the Board James series.
Bad Luck Bootsy?
Oh, Bad Luck Bootsy.
You had to
He's
jinx
an
it.
asshole.
He's a duty
I think
head.
that dude like fucked a frog one time.
Fuckface.
He's an idiot.
He sucks his own dick.
Oh, come on.
Ugh. Bootsy.
Since I had never seen this series, I had no feelings about Bootsy one way or another, but man, this dude exudes a goofy likability. James, Mike, and Bootsy play Tornado Rex, and the video ends with Bootsy getting his eye shot out by one of the game pieces. For several episodes after this, Bootsy would have an eye patch, which I thought was a nice touch of continuity. And if you've read James Rolfe's new book, then you know he's all about continuity. The next notable episode was Lupin Louie. I swear, where the fuck did James find all these board games? I have heard of like 3 of them. Anyway, in this episode, James brings the Lupin Louie board game to the PAX 2011 Video Game Expo. I wouldn't say there's any kind of plot to this video. I think it was more of an interesting idea that made for compelling content. We see James play Lupin Louie at the convention with such YouTube stalwarts as Angry Joe and Derek Alexander, which I thought was interesting, seeing as Derek arguably bit off of some of James' followers, starting out as the happy video game nerd.
He's the happy Nintendo nerd. He's the happy Atari Sega nerd. He's the happy video game nerd.
I guess they had made peace by this point, or James didn't know who the hell this guy was. For me, the series took a dip for the next few episodes, especially episode 17.
Nookie dookie nookie dookie nookie dookie nookie dookie. Oh, good doggy, good doggy. Oh, time to shit.
Time to shit, doggy.
Oh,
That's nasty.
Oh, it's
Oh my god.
James and Mike spurging out over a plastic dog that
Yes,
shits fake Play-Doh turds might have been novel back in 2012, but now it's nearly unwatchable. However, the very next episode, Shark Attack, was hilarious, and that was for one reason: Bootsy. Even though I'm sure James wrote Bootsy's dialogue, he just pulls off this nitwit character flawlessly, and his infatuation with wanting to fuck the plastic shark was hilarious. I could really see why fans had such a soft spot for Bootsy. Okay, so up until this point in the series, I thought, this show was rough around the edges, some episodes were worth my time, others were kind of garbage, and I still didn't understand the hype. But episode 19 and every episode that followed finally made me understand. Episode 19 was a turning point in the show, and I don't know if James had even originally planned for this to happen, but Board James went from a goofy show about 3 friends playing obscure board games to a psychological comedic horror series involving board games. Episode 19, or the Dream Phone episode, sees the three friends playing the hilariously ridiculous Dream Phone game, which is basically a process of elimination game. Teenage voices in the phone give you clues to help you deduce which guy likes you. At a certain point in the video, James says,
like, imagine if it's the same exact game, same rules and everything, but instead of trying to find a guy who likes you, it's all about solving a murder case.
James returns back to his house with the game, and much like the Mr. Bucket episode, the Dream Phone comes to life. But instead of a girl's voice, it's some malevolent being that starts terrorizing James. Soon James finds that whoever the voice is in the phone has systematically killed his friends. The episode ends with James' typical crude practical effects, and the phone lunges toward James holding a knife. This was definitely an unexpected turning point in the series, and I once again have to wonder, was this always the plan for the series, or did James just really want to make a show about board games, but then randomly got the idea to take the show in this meta-type direction? Every episode following Dream Phone would see James acting more and more bizarre. His character would start hallucinating, and it was insinuating the fact that he was the one who killed his friends and not the Dream Phone. Episode number 22, Ouija/Domino Rally, sees bored James try to resurrect Mike and Bootsy from the dead using the Ouija board. It seemingly works, and the gang is back together again. The last few episodes of this series are easily the best. The Full House and Urkel Games episode was hilarious with just how cheesy 90s marketing went into making these family sitcoms into board games.
If you land on a Joey joke space, you draw a Joey joke card. You tell the joke, and then you get an extra turn. I was pretty crazy in the 70s. Now I can get crazy at any temperature. To say, these jokes are not funny at all. I love working in television, but they're getting so small and the wires get in the way.
And those fucking Steve Urkel glasses. I never knew I could laugh and be creeped out at the same time. Episode 25 features board games based on video games, and we get an AVGN/Board James collaboration, which is impressive, seeing as both characters are played by the same person. The second to last episode sees Board James's psychosis come back, and he again terrorizes his friends by forcing them to play a game called 13 Dead End Drive. Mike and Bootsy ultimately try to escape, but end up getting hanged when James's murderous alter ego reemerges. The final episode of Board James is easily one of James's most ambitious short films outside of the AVGN movie, but this one is actually watchable. James, Mike, and Bootsy find themselves on the set of 13 Dead End Drive, and are dead.
Does that mean we're all dead?
We are all very dead.
So I don't know if this is some kind of dream sequence or fantasy ending, but I'm not really taking an internet show about board games too seriously. James is still in deranged psychopath mode and forces Mike and Bootsy to play the game Nightmare. Mike ends up losing the game, and the three are transported to some nether realm where James uses Mike as a human operation game and Bootsy as a hangman game. The blood and gore effects are very DIY, and to me that adds to the comedy. At this point, I'm not sure if it's supposed to be funny, but I found myself laughing anytime Bootsy got a limb cut off, or this alligator attack.
Wow.
James explains that whoever dies first gets to choose the next game, but then Bootsy requests them to play Candyland, which was a game he commonly wanted to play throughout the series. What ensues next is one of the most bizarre yet funny sequences I've ever seen on Cinemassacre.
What the fuck?
During the Candyland sequence, things start getting very Inception-esque, with games being played within games, and I feel like the plot gets buried a bit here. They finally end up playing Battleship, and Board James is seemingly destroyed by a missile launched by Mike's battleship. The last scene zooms inside James's sunken battleship to reveal a pile of tattered board games and a human skeleton, which I'm assuming is Board James. And that's how the series ends. As someone who didn't watch this show when it first came out, I gotta say, as a whole, Board James to me is a mixed bag. Much like the Angry Video Game Nerd, there are some classics and then there are some duds. This was a much shorter series than AVGN, so in my opinion, I would say about half the series is worth watching, and the other half is kind of boring. The best parts of Board James is when Mike, James, and Bootsy interact and argue over the games they're playing. After being forced to tolerate the Screenwave goons for the past few years, it was nice to see James interact with people he actually had chemistry with and who were his real friends. Chemistry like that can't be bought. I also liked James' very DIY style when he uses practical effects. It has a certain charm to it that honestly makes the show more endearing. And it's not like Board James is being marketed as this like very serious, amazing piece of cinema. It's an internet web series that was very ambitious for its time on YouTube. I can say I now understand why the fans were so upset when in my previous videos I had stated that I had never seen Board James. There truly were some very entertaining content in some of the episodes, and it was refreshing to go back to the past and see James before he became the completely burnt out shell of who he used to be. Wow, that ended kind of dark, didn't it? Well, it's true. I hope you enjoyed this video. It's one that I've been meaning to make for a long time, so I'm glad I finally put it out there. Anyway, until next time, I'm Josh Cannon. Have a good rest of your night.
Actually, I don't know. I make the stream longer, but you can try and tell the background, bro. Because I forgot the chairs and I didn't want to draw them again. So, anyway, I'm gonna get going. Anyway, take care out there. Thank you for looking. Thank you for chilling. Thank you, Dark Blood, latest follower. I didn't see you follow last stream, so I think just got seeing your name on latest follower. Anyway, thank you so much for following. And if you're on YouTube, please like and subscribe. Thank you. It really helps me out. You're the best. You're the best. Peace out. Later, later, later. Love you all. Bye.